It's 2015, a year that brought us earth-shattering innovative titles such as GTA 5.
Hold on a second. I think someone's trying to dock with me. Hello?
Who you gonna call when games are there? Who you gonna call when there's an animatronic bear? Come down.
Get security! And first aid! No filming. No.
Bloodborne.
Who we shooting at?
Oh
so
god,
much fun.
oh fuck.
Welcome to Five Nights at Freddy's 4.
Is a tiny...
Wait, you're not supposed to be here.
Look at this, mother humper.
Rainbow Six Siege, a game I'm sure all of you are aware of at this point, took me and many others by storm during 2015, seeing as this was one of the only competitive shooters that took off on console, and yes, I know. But trust me when I say this game was actual peak. Almost every day after school, me and my friends would hop on Ranked and grind until 3 a.m. Every piece of media I consumed at that point was Rainbow Six Siege. I'd be at school thinking of different angles and ways I could push objectives in hope of improving my overall gameplay. At lunch, I would go down to the library and watch Marley videos on the school computer just because I couldn't get rid of the addiction that Siege was. But as time has progressed, that craving became infected, slowly turning into a bloated, rotting corpse that has left a festering mark upon the FPS genre. So the question still remains. What the fuck happened to Siege? The most influential aspect of Rainbow Six Siege that boosted the game into unparalleled success for several consecutive years was the idea of it being a unique hero-based shooter.
Give it up for Mega Gallbladder and one and only Gallstone, Robo Bitch, Mega Faggot.
Though the idea seems very trivial today since we have a new tactical shooter coming out of every toenail from almost every dev known to mankind, R6 was one of the greatest hero shooters. At the very least, Siege had unrivaled potential at the time. Coming from the once famous Ubisoft Montreal, a company that behind some of the most groundbreaking titles such as Far Cry 3 and 4, several of the Assassin's Creed games. Not only that, but Siege had come at such an opportune time. A year before Overwatch, 4 years before what could have been seen as one of the greatest rivals for Siege, Plants vs. Zombies.
I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick right now. I'm just stroking my shit.
So with all these stars aligning and an enormous amount of hype forming around the game's release, Siege was set up to be one of the greatest team-based shooters that could release in the past decade. But just like some of the other titles Ubisoft Montreal created, R6 was bound to have a massive shit taken all over it.
What does that make ketchup? Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But that leads us to our next topic. What did Ubisoft do to Siege? Or better yet, what did they not do? 2020, the year of Bovid, the year of the rat, but most importantly, the year of the gamer. The first massive spike Siege players would see. 198,567 players playing at once on just Steam alone. Hundreds of thousands of individuals spread across various other platforms, all stuck inside with nothing more to do than grind Siege day in and day out. Finally, a point of revitalization that will hopefully launch Siege back into the stardom that it once came from. Surely Ubisoft will take this point in time to push the greatest reformation of the game's history, breathing the life back into the aging corpse that Siege was.
I'm about to bomb this whole motherfucking plane.
2021. It's still a horrible time to be alive, but an even greater time to be a gamer. An even better time to be a Siege player. This year brought the all-time peak of Siege, bringing the highest concurrent player count the game had ever seen in its creation. Whether it was the free weekend, the new season, or the Creator Clash Ubisoft was hosting, Siege seemed to be heading into a new direction, a direction of prosperity. For the moment, Siege was flourishing again, and after 8 years, Ubisoft seemed to be able to do it for once. They finally broke the age-old issue almost every video game studio had faced at this point. They seemed to be able to maintain a player base in which everyone was able to get along. The content was fresh and never redundant. The game seemed to be in a perfect state, an example every game dev and artist should look to for inspiration. Finally, giving a breath of life back into a populace that seemed bent into ripping each other apart.
You're not greedy.
Let's stop for a second. I have a serious question for you. Have you ever experienced the feeling of betrayal? I'm sure you have. I'm sure you've felt that earth-shattering hopelessness that plagues humankind. I, for one, know that I felt this feeling of betrayal. For me, it was June 2018.
Both know why you're here, and that's to talk about the next Fallout.
I was 17 years old, and Fallout 76 was just announced. I was so ecstatic for the release of a new game in a franchise that helped develop my childhood and love for video games in a whole. As soon as the pre-release was available, I ran to my nearest GameStop and spent almost my entire savings at that point buying the limited edition $300 bundle. And, well, we know how that turned out. Cut back to March of 2021. Crimson Heist, the newest Operation Siege players could get their grubby little hands on, just dropped. A month after the greatest influx in players the game had ever seen in the past decade. Surely this had to be one of the greatest additions to video games in history. But this wouldn't come to fruition. To answer the question I asked before on the behalf of Siege players, Crimson Heist was their Fallout 76. Not only did the player base rapidly decline to a point not seen since the game's creation in 2015, but additionally the player base's opinion had dropped to an all-time low. With Crimson Heist, nothing happened. Largely, this is the whole reason Siege has started to bleed players over the past 3 years. Years of promised reworks, bug fixes, even a better anti-cheat system. A promise that left a trail of lies and deceit that goes all the way back to Operation.
Yeah, there's cheaters everywhere. Doesn't matter whether you're in a diamond match or you're in a bronze match, you're gonna face cheaters. There's obviously a lot more in the higher lobbies, but they still exist in the lower ones.
Content creators wanted better streaming protection, but they were told implementations of a system like that would not be possible. Players were promised a cooperative PvE story-based game. In return, they got Extraction. What absolute
Walking down
dog
the street,
shit.
minding our own business, I just spotted the perfect pile of dog shit, and naturally I stepped in it.
What? Whoa. Okay, I'm a little confused. Why would you voluntarily step into the dog feces?
Well, I didn't really.
You just said you did.
Well,
and we all watched you do it.
All right, fine. I voluntarily stepped in the dog shit so that I would smell of dog shit.
Alpha packs and cosmetics, battle pass after battle pass, dog farts right in the open mouths of players. Season after season of absolute dog shit. Failure after failure for the players still sticking around after years of neglect. But still, fans have not wavered from the undying love that they had for this game, defending it from scrutiny and hate on almost every social media platform. All the while getting absolutely hammered in the metaphorical balls over and over and over again. I mean, if you look at Siege's subreddit right now, just like Sisyphus, Siege fans continuously defend the game, even though, well, you know.
I love refrigerators.
In conclusion, many claim Siege is a dead game, and yes, this is partially true to me. Siege is a rotted, bloated mess shambling through the darkness seeking players that'll play a regurgitated pile of garbage that has more cosmetic updates than a game that came out almost a decade ago.
Don't flatter yourself. You're not gonna be up there, because I am gonna be the face of Patty's Bar.
That's ridiculous, Frank. You're, ugly.
And what?
Ugly?
I'm ugly.
Yeah?
With that anteater nose, you're telling me I'm ugly?
My nose was chiseled by the gods themselves, Frank.
Siege within itself was a trend-setting monster. The game's competitive scene dominated the world events. Millions of spectators across the globe tuned in to watch the sweatiest Siege players compete for massive prize pools. Not only did it dominate the physical space, it also dominated the liminal plane that the internet exists upon. These very same people who spend billions of hours watching Siege content creators spread across various platforms over various years have slowly started to drift away onto greener pastures. Because as the internet does what the internet do, Siege seems to be cycling out, falling from its once prominent position on the throne of the competitive shooter scene, down with the rest of these degenerate games. As I stated before, Siege's player loss can be coined to Ubisoft's lack of understanding of not only their community, but their game as a whole. Does this mean the end of the game within itself? No. Well, maybe yes, but hopefully not. We've seen monumental comebacks time in and time again. There was No Man's Skies with its hateful start to its now bountiful community. Cyberpunk 2077 reworked the entire game because it was absolute dog turds upon release. Team Fortress 2 for the past 10 years has come back time in and time again as one of the most popular games ever released because Steam knows how to make a game. But can we expect an entire reformation from a company like Ubisoft, a company known for absolutely fumbling the bag when it comes not only to the releases, but upkeeping their games and keeping them more relevant for more than 3 years at a time? Let's take it over to the Goblin Corner and get our answer. How are we looking at a complete ground-up reformation with complete player approval while also keeping all the promises they made over the past 8 years, while also completing it in a timely manner without bugs? Within all seriousness, the expectation that Siege will have a grand comeback is very low, at least in my opinion. And even if it was made possible through sheer, let's say, determination on the part of Ubisoft.
Rebuild Siege from the ground up.
I don't think they will fully care to actually do it. In personal opinion, Siege is a bloated mess struggling with fresh content and a depleting player base. All those who have stuck around over the past 3 years and make up the concurrent players have continually gotten shafted with less and less content, continuous updates that no one has asked for, and ever-growing issues with cheaters, and finally, last but not least, have been forced to play a less enjoyable experience that fails to compare to any other title in the genre you can find right now. But I think that's it. I think I've exhausted all my talking points right now. Join me next week when we take a look at Bethesda's up-and-coming AAA title, Starfield.
Expressions and lip syncing which are done procedurally by a
Pelosi, pop, lol, my fellow Americans. My head be bold, my cock be fragile. My days are through. God, I'm heated. Lower the temperature. 9/11 did not happen. I thank the Twin Towers for their presence here today. I don't fear death. There's nothing after. I checked. Just darkness. We are facing too many crises. We have too many crises. I'm concerned about the crises. As a proud Democrat, I will not get anything done. That's the choice I'll make as president. I don't care. Words. Today is People's Day. 4 7 years ago,